Yeah, talk about the dangers and the way shit can go. I can tell you a quick funny story, and it involves asp as well. It was 1993. I forgot what month it was, but I know it was 93 because we wrote 93 on the train. But asp, um, I had moved out of my house in 91 when I was 14, but I still had a room at my mom's house just to keep her happy. But I moved out because my parents were very strict, Eastern European, and Polish background. They just had different ethics. They didn't want me to stay out late, stuff like that. So I had a great childhood, good parents, and but this graffiti thing got me like hooked, and I was like I had to stay out all night and do it. So, but in '93, I was spending the night at my parents' house, and Asp had rang the bell, and he asked for Giz. My mom hated graffiti. I mean, to the point like she knew everything bad that started in our lives was somehow related to that, or she thought she just tied it to it. So he's like, I went downstairs and I'm like, yo, dude, what the fuck, man? It was late. It was like 11 o'clock at night. He's like, yo, you got any paint? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, let's go do the M yard. That's where I used to live, right behind the M yard. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Went upstairs, got whatever paint I can get. Went downstairs, and me and him went down. We walked down the station, the tracks to the yard, and there was two yellow work bum trains, and we were like, oh shit, let's fuck up the work bum trains. So we start painting, and I looked down the row to where the train ended, and there was like a walkway there where the conductors would go into their trains, and I saw a dude. He like walked by, and then he did like a step back and looked, like he looked at us, and I was like, yo, bro, I was like, this homeboy just seen us. And he was like, nah, don't worry about it, man. Just keep going. So I'm painting, trying to hurry up. And then, like, maybe 5 or 6 dudes came around the corner on our row, and they start walking towards us with flashlights and stuff, work bums. And I'm like, yo, we got to go. And he's like, nah, fuck that. And then, like, I don't know where the fuck he found it, but, like, back in the day, I mean, they still have them. They had these yellow paddles to keep the doors open when they were working on the trains. All of a sudden, Asp had one in his hand, and he's fucking running towards the work bums, banging the train as he's running. And he's this big Spanish guy, like fucking like he looked hood, like you know what I mean. So they stopped and they just turned around and ran away. And then I'm like packing up, ready to, I'm like, it's over, like, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm packing up, it's done. He's like, nah, dude. He goes, fuck that, finish your shit, So I was like, all right. And it's funny because if you see the picture, you'll see like the G and the I are filled in, like kind of like the lines are like in the right row, and the Z is just like, boom, like let's get out of here type shit. And then like we finished, we outlined it, and then he's like, I'm like, let's go. He's like, no, no, no. He goes, yo, take pictures. And then we took pictures in front of it. He took a picture of me, I took a picture of him, and I have those pictures still.
Wow.
And I think I told this story for the Revs book. Um, and then Asp was like, yo, let's go to the store and get 40s. And I'm like, yo, dude, that's where the cops are going to be coming from, because that's the only way. So he was like, he didn't care, though. He didn't care about going to jail. Like, it was not big, it was like big deal to him. And I ended up convincing him. I was like, yo, why don't we walk from Fresh Pond to Forest train station and do some rooftops and kill the paint? And he was like, oh, that's such a good idea. It was like using reverse psychology on him to not go down into the street. So we did. We walked from Fresh Pond to Forest. We did a couple rooftops, and then we walked from Forest to Seneca, did some rooftops, and then we finished all the paint. And we got up to Seneca train station, and as soon as we got up there, the stairs used to have this cement kind of partition. Nowadays it's like glass blocks, but back then it was all cemented. And I seen this guy pop his head up and pop down, and I said, yo, somebody's popping their head up. And he's like, yo, man, you're so fucking paranoid. And like, I wasn't paranoid, I'm just very cautious when I paint. That's why I never got caught bombing, like. And that's why the vandals never found out who I was until much later on, social media and shit. But anyway, it turned out to be a uniformed cop, and he got up and he put on his hat, and he was like, yo, you two, come over here, because we just got off the tracks. And Asp said something like, "Yeah, fuck you," like, and then he starts like running towards us, and we turned around and we booked back onto the tracks, but we didn't like walk the stairs down. We literally jumped from the platform onto the catwalk, and back then the catwalk wasn't the yellow pretty catwalks they have today. It was like wood, and it was bending, and some pieces were missing and not fastened right. And it was just like, I remember in the air like having a quick thought, like, shit, I hope that don't fucking fall and break through and land in the street. And then like we're running down the catwalk, but the cop wasn't track certified, so he couldn't enter the catwalk. Back then, you had to be track certified. It was different, and they would have to stop the trains and stuff like that. And so we're like halfway through, and I told Ass, I'm like, "Yo, chill. We can't go to the next station. They're gonna cut us off." He's like, "So what do you want to do?" I was like, "We'll slide down the pole." And that was the only time I seen Asp concerned because he had no fear in him. But he looked down. He was like, "Nah, fuck that, man." I was like, "Dude, trust me." I was like, "Yo, follow me." I was like, "Use the bolts for your feet. You put your hand into the I beam, and you just shimmy down. I was like, "Watch me do it, and then just do it slow. We're not in a rush. The cops ain't coming down this way." And he was like, he seen me doing it, and he was like, "All right, bet." So he did it. We both did it. We got down. He was like, "Damn, that was fucking great." I was like, so then we heard the cops were all in the streets right now looking for us because we heard the revving of the engines, like and the lights in between the window. Because where we went down, we weren't in the street. We were in between two buildings. It was like being in the middle of a block. So we ended up in the backyards of like all these houses. So they didn't know how to find us, and we couldn't. Asp wanted to go into the street, and I was like, "Dude, we gotta chill." And luckily, in the backyard we climbed, there was a pool. So Asp was like, "Yo, let's go in the pool." And I was like, "All right, whatever keeps him from wanting to go to the street, I'm down." We took off our pants, we're sitting in our boxer shorts, and we go in the pool. And we're just chilling. And I'm keeping an eye up on the tracks, which are right above our heads. And I'm paying attention to see if I see any cops. But more importantly, if the train is still running. Because if the trains are keep running by, then they're not going to hit the tracks because they would have stopped service. So train started running. I'm like, all right, we're good. And then Asp was like, yo, he's like, get out. I'm like, so I'm looking around. I'm like, what the fuck? I get out, and he ended up fucking taking a shit in the pool. I'm just like, dude, what the fuck, man? That's so wrong, man. Like, why would you do that? He's like, man, fuck that. It was like some shitty above ground pool, like 3, 4 feet high or whatever. And then we ended up just climbing out, going to the street and just drank, ate something, and laughing about the night. But that's just one story.
Wow, man. Wow.